It's really important to avoid buying in bad areas because it could potentially affect your long-term position, because what we're doing here as investors is trying to get our best return on investments. When we're buying investment properties, what we're looking for is more about what we don't want to buy more than what we do want to buy. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you what you should be avoiding when you're about to purchase an investment property. Now, what I'm going to be talking about is once we get to the suburb level. I've previously done videos on how to get to the right market. I've also done videos on how to get to the right suburb. So we'll link up to those videos so you can refer back to them. So before you get to the property level, you're making sure that you're already in the right market, you're already in the right suburb. And now once we're in the right suburb, I'm going to tell you what you should be avoiding to make sure that you get the right property. So go back and listen to those videos if you would like to, before or after this one, because there's some absolute gold there, guys. So grab out your notepad and enjoy. So one of the big no-nos up here in Brisbane is flood zones. You want to make sure that you are completely avoiding buying anywhere close to or near a flood zone. The beautiful thing about up here, after 2011 floods, the council websites got really good at providing flood reports for every single property throughout Brisbane, depending on which council you're in. So before you even go looking at a property or getting excited about a property, make sure that you jump onto the local council website and you download a flood report. Now for us, we won't look at anything that's got a higher percentage of flooding than 1%. So make sure that you incorporate that into your checklist as well, and make sure that you're not buying in any flood zones, because, you know, from an insurance perspective, this can really hurt. If it does flood, it's going to cost you a whole lot of money to fix, and also for resale potential, other people are also not wanting to buy it in a flood zone. So they're going to look at that when they're looking at purchasing your property. So flood zones is a big no-no. It's quite similar to bushfire zones as well. It can be a little bit different. It can be pretty difficult to find these sometimes, but if you're in a rural area or there's lots of bushland around you, you want to make sure that you avoid being in those areas that are susceptible to bushfires and could potentially affect your property as well. Now, the next thing is avoid buying on main roads or busier roads or thoroughfares as well. You know, thoroughfares I'm not too mad at, because, you know, some back streets have bus routes and things like that, which isn't the worst, but avoid buying on them if you potentially can. You really want to be in the nice, quiet, family-friendly streets. You don't want lots of cars coming by. It's going to be noisy. It's going to hinder the ability to kind of play on the road for the kids and things like this. And it could also affect your valuations in the future as well by being on those busier roads. So you want to make sure that you're on the nice, quiet, family-friendly streets. You want to make sure that you're in the nice, beautiful areas and avoid getting into those main roads. The next one is train lines. Obviously, trains are super loud and obnoxious, if you ask me as well. So, you know, you don't want this coming through all the bloody time and kind of bugging you in the morning or the evening. So, you know, you can buy close to train lines. Obviously, close to train stations is also good as well, but you want to avoid being right next to them or backing onto them, because it's going to be extremely noisy and quite annoying. Similar can be with flight paths as well. Now, I know right now when I'm filming this video in November of 2020, there isn't too many planes flying around the globe at the moment, so it might not be the biggest issue right now, but obviously people want to get back to traveling, and, you know, when you're getting around those busier airports and things like this, those planes flying over your head every now and again can get bloody loud and annoying. So make sure that you're looking at those flight paths as well. On top of this, you want to avoid buying next to or opposite schools, big sports complexes, retail, commercial, basically busier areas. You know, it's going to bring lots of foot traffic, it's going to bring a lot more noise, and it's obviously putting you in a different zone as well. So avoid buying next to all of those different things. Pretty simple sort of stuff. It's coming back to the avoiding the busier roads and getting into the quieter parts of the streets. You know, if there's like a kindergarten or something like that, or a preschool, you know, I'm not too worried, or a little corner store, you know, I'm not too worried, or if there's just a little park, I'm not too worried. But if it's a big major sporting complex, or if it's a big school, or if you've got retail or commercial or industrial areas. These are the types of areas that you really want to be avoiding. Now, the last thing to avoid is housing commission as well. So you can get information on housing commission in the suburb online. Beautiful thing about 2020, right, is there's information out there on anything, everything and anything. So you can check this out. Now, you definitely don't want to be buying directly next to housing commission or directly opposite housing commission, but some streets, you know, one end of the street may have quite a lot of housing commission, but the other end may have not much housing commission. So as a rule of thumb, we like to avoid buying in streets that have more than 10% housing commission in the area. So for us, when we're looking at this sort of stuff, because we have access to RP data, we can look at actually who owns the land. So when we're looking at inspecting a property, we'll look through every single property in the suburb, see who owns it, and identify which properties are owned by the state government, which generally indicates that these are housing commission places. And then you can sort of see if it's directly opposite or directly next to these places. And then you can kind of compile a bit of a percentage from that sort of information as well. So those are the big ones, guys. Those are the areas that you really want to be avoiding. I'll just repeat them for everybody. You don't want to be in a flood zone or a bushfire zone. You don't want to be on a main road or a busier road. You don't want to be directly next to a train line or backing onto a train line. You don't want to be next to or opposite schools, sports complexes, retail areas, commercial, industrial. You don't want to be near the busy areas, right? And then you also want to avoid buying next to or opposite housing commission, and you want to be on a street that's got less than 10% housing commission. So I hope you've taken some notes from this, guys. It's really important to avoid buying in bad areas, because it could potentially affect your long-term position, because what we're doing here as investors is trying to get our best return on investment. So we want to make sure that we're buying in the areas, buying the properties that are going to set us up to put us in the best possible position. It may not seem like much right now, but 0.5%, 1% or 2% of compounded capital growth over the lifetime of holding that property is a huge impact. So these are the reasons that we want to avoid these. We want to really target the areas that are going to be extremely appealing to owner-occupiers, because they're the ones that are going to pay an emotional price for your property. That's what's going to potentially drive up those prices longer term. So if you haven't already done so, guys, please share this video with somebody that needs to watch it, that's currently looking for a property. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, or head over to our Facebook or Instagram. Give us a like, give us a follow. Please stay engaged. We'd love to hear from you in the comment section below as well. But once again, thanks for listening. You're one step closer.